Ladies and gents, welcome. I'm sure you've seen the news today. This one broke 24 minutes ago, and you could be forgiven for thinking you're reading a Solzhenitsyn novel set in the former Soviet Union. Because yes, or maybe it's more like listening to a Craig David song. Released from prison on Monday, went for a drink on Tuesday, back in the dock on Wednesday. It's an appalling state of affairs, and it's inexorably linked to the story that broke last night about Lucy Connelly being unceremoniously binned on appeal and told that you definitely need to do 2 years in jail when you get publicly upset after children get murdered by foreign men. It's an appalling state of affairs, but there's nothing you can do but laugh, is there? There's nothing else you can do. As long as the power stays on, Chicago town is still making pizzas and everybody's got a working Netflix connection, apparently nobody gives a shite other than the likes of you and I. So I'm going to talk about both stories because I'm very, very angry about it. And I'm going to point to some excellent points made recently by Jacob Rees-Mogg and a couple of other commentators who've pointed out the ludicrous situation we're in. And I specifically want to discuss the fact that I've said this many times over the last 4 or 5 years. The likes of Shami Chakrabarti and all of these left-wing advocacy groups and high-status individuals who talk a good game about human rights, but only ever when it's for people that look and sound exactly like them, should not be getting your support or the support of the general public. Amnesty International couldn't give a single shit about people like you. It's a political game, and I'm going to prove it to you. A word of warning though, we do have to listen to gibbering, chinless biter Ian Dale for a little bit. So, if he makes you uncomfortable, you might want to look away now. Right then, this one broke about half an hour ago on the BBC. Tony Romo has been charged with harassment. Of course he has. Of course he has, because you can't be letting him out of prison, can you? Far right, not really. Not really. Activist Tony Romo, whose real name is Stephen Yaxley Lennon, has been charged with harassment and causing fear against 2 men in August last year. The Crown Prosecution Service has said this is a developing story. Listen, if causing fear is a crime, then Keir Starmer needs to be locked up, because every time he opens his mouth, I almost shit myself knowing that an unending stream of authoritarian stupidity that will be ruthlessly enforced upon me with an iron fist is about to stream out of the hole in his face. So he should be in the nick. But this has trumped up charges written all over it, doesn't it? You don't even have to actually do anything. You just have to make 2 grown men be in fear of violence, and they'll find a way to nick you. When the law's this malleable, they could lock any of us up. So this is like a bad joke. As I've said, as I keep telling you, they want you to get angry because they want you to flip out and do something with a meat cleaver. Don't rise to the bait. You do what I do, and you ruthlessly mock these people. Humour is the only weapon you've got. Because if you use an actual weapon, they won't treat you like Ricky Jones and let you wander the streets a free man for the rest of your days. They will lock you up for 40 years. So you resign yourself to the fact you're living in an authoritarian shit pit, and you point and laugh, because that's all you've got. Tony Romo will never stop getting his windpipe crushed by the iron-shod boots of the authoritarian state. You know it, and I know it. If you don't know that, you haven't been paying attention for the last 5 or 6 years. The British government loves locking that man up for having the temerity to say obvious things in a working class accent. That's what his crime is, and he will be paying the price for it for the rest of his life. I can't believe he hasn't moved. Lunatics complain at me and say things like, oh, I can't believe you took a job in America. Oh, I can't believe you moved because your wife's American. You should have stayed here and fought. Like they're wearing a beret and wielding an AK-47 and there's something you can do about this problem. No, maybe it's because I'm getting old. When I was a young man, I might have dogmatically, tried to do something stupid physically. But I'm an old bloke now, and I know the limits of a man's power. And Tony Romo, if he had any sense, maybe the patriot in him is what drives him. Because if he had any sense, he would have fled the UK like James Goddard did and bugger off to Thailand or something and actually enjoy his life. Because the British state will never stop persecuting people like Tony Romo. If I could have a conversation with him, I'd tell him that. You owe them nothing. You've done your bit. Go and hang out on a beach in an Asian country with no extradition policy. because you're going to get no peace in the UK. Which leads me neatly on to the next story I want to talk about, okay? And this one makes me even more angry because, you know, at least Tony Romo's chinned a few people and he's a bit of a lad. Lucy Connelly is an upset, grieving mother. So if the first story makes you angry, this one should boil your piss in the bladder. It's an outrageous story. I have covered it before, but there's more revelations today and it fills me with righteous fury. Yeah, we've discussed it at length. I won't read the whole thing, but I'm going to give you some more salient points from the last 24 hours, okay? Lucy Connelly's lost her appeal and she's going to spend 2 years in jail for a mean tweet. First things first, the collection of political activist, degenerate, pervert weirdos that work for the BBC do nothing but lie. The wording of this entire story, right down to the headline, race hate post, is pure fiction. Also of note, in the second paragraph, I mean, this is all gobbledygook and lies. In the second paragraph, they say Lucy Connelly from Northampton was jailed for 31 months in October after calling for mass deportation now and urging her followers to set fire, quotation marks, to hotels housing asylum seekers. This is a fiction. The reason the BBC didn't do what everybody else is doing and just show you the tweet, right? The tweet's out there for everyone to see. They don't show you the tweet because they've deliberately been uncharitable with their depiction of it, right? She didn't urge her followers to set fire to things. The exact words she used were, set fire to them all, for all I care. For all I care. There's a massive difference there. That's why they didn't show you the tweet. The headline and that, well, the first 3 paragraphs is them using their slippery machinations to paint an upset mother who literally did this the same day the story broke about those innocent little girls getting stabbed to death by a foreign man. It's almost the literal definition of extenuating circumstances. No right-thinking person thinks a grieving mother should go to prison for such a thing. In fact, let's just use the aforementioned Ian Dale example, just to make a point.
That the purpose of a system is what it does. And the purpose of our justice system, based on that principle, is to protect people like Mike Amesbury and punish people like Lucy Connelly.
Run that by me again? Protect people like Mike Amesbury. Now,
yes, it leads people.
He was the MP that was in Runcorn who punished a constituent.
Yes.
How did the justice system protect him?
Well, because as we've just heard, he received a 10-week suspended sentence for assaulting a constituent, whereas Lucy Connelly posted a tweet and got 31 months.
But she was calling for asylum hotels to be burnt down.
Yes, and as I've already said, she does deserve to be punished for that because it's incitement. But again, it's just, I mean, which is the more severe of the two crimes? I would say it's Mike Amesbury.
Right, let's move on to another subject.
Yeah. Move on to another subject. Yeah, you want to, don't you? You big, fat, testicle-headed, mattress-munching twat. Okay, of course he does. That point is irrefutable. Irrefutable. That's why he put his hand in this. When he thinks he's got the ghost of an argument, he'll happily have the argument. When he knows he's banked a right, nailed to the wall by an irrefutable point, he makes out like, oh, that's such a stupid point, it doesn't warrant a response. No, the aforementioned politician punched a constituent's face in. Is that not worse than talking? In fact, not even talking. Putting one tweet out on the same day little girls got butchered like animals. Is it not? No? I'll tell you what, if you think that, here's an easy way to prove it, right? I'll give him permission to send me a nasty tweet and he has to give me permission to punch his face in. Easy. Which would you prefer? Which would you prefer here? It's ludicrous that he's such a disingenuous little rat. It's unbelievable. Physically accosting people gets you a suspended sentence, a 10-week suspended sentence, no jail time. But being upset when Rwandans butcher innocent children and saying, oh yeah, burn it all down for all I care, how do you get 2 years in prison for that? It's not even worthy of a suspended sentence, in my opinion. For all I care, she didn't organise a rally and then give a barnstorming speech to 20,000 people telling them, it's those bastards over there, let's get them. She didn't do it. She just sent a tweet out because she was upset. That isn't incitement to racist hatred. It's not. Jacob Rees-Mogg made a good point here as well. 31 months for a nasty tweet Hugh Edwards at liberty. Never thought Jacob Rees-Mogg would be that based, but apparently he is. And I'm not going to make you endure the painful 4-minute conversation he has with this communist activist, but again, it's just more proof of what I was talking about earlier. The human rights lawyer, Shohab Khan, right? These human rights lawyers, they aren't human rights. Because if it's your human rights, or my human rights, or Tony Romo's human rights, they give less than 2 fucks. They don't care. The political activists, working through their greasy machinations, masquerading as being concerned about human rights, all these movers and shakers, Dame Chakrabarti, whatever it is now, they never defend people like us. They defend people who agree with them politically, and that's a salient point. Don't donate to these organisations, don't help these people, don't cooperate with them. They don't care about human rights. They care about pushing their nefarious agenda. It's weird, isn't it? Nobody ever seems to stick up for Anders Breivik, but they're always concerned about the prison treatment of people that espouse their opinions on the world. Funny that, isn't it? And I'll tell you what, I'll even go one better, and I'll probably disagree with a lot of you in the comments here. I don't think Ricky Jones deserves jailing. Amesbury does, because he punched someone's face in. Ricky Jones, if you don't know, well, he did this.
They are disgusting, nasty bastards, and we need to cull their throats and get rid of them all.
Right, that's what he said. You all know this. People who watch this channel know this. And the reason I show you that is because everyone's using that as a good example. Like, he said literally murder people to a massive mob with a microphone, while for some reason the gleeful communists look on, cheering with massive grins on their faces. And he didn't get sent to prison. And he's still at liberty. And as usual, just like the Puma trackies who broke a policewoman's nose in an airport, it'd probably get me about 8 years, they're walking about as well. Because it's painfully obvious that there's a 2-tier justice system in the United Kingdom, and they ignored 100,000 kiddie fiddlers for 30 years because they had a tan. This stuff's not even controversial anymore. But I will say, I don't even think that is worthy of a jail sentence. The problem is, their ludicrous behaviour towards the likes of Lucy Connelly is making everybody pick people from the other side and say, yeah, jail them, why aren't they in jail? None of these people should be in jail. Even him. I don't think that was a serious call to genuinely go around murdering people. I don't. Something like that is worthy of a night in the cells, a stern talking to, and an official caution. And that's it. And something like Lucy Connelly, she shouldn't have even got a knock on the door. There should be very, 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 very high bar for thought crimes, for speech crimes, right? And I don't think either of them warrant a custodial sentence. Not him. I know that'll annoy some of you, but the bar needs to remain high. And definitely not Lucy Connelly. Of the three, the only one who should be in porridge is Amesbury for punching a bloke's face in. But we live in an upside down world where he's still out on bail and he's free as a bird. Amesbury's got nothing and will never go to prison because he's already served his time, apparently. And Connelly is still rotting in prison for talking. And of course, Tony Romo's going to join her in there soon, because that's how it works in the gigantic shit police state formerly known as Great Britain. All right? If you're not angry about it, you should be, but please don't do anything stupid with a meat cleaver or a flamethrower. Alas, you'll have to do what I do and live those fantasies out in your head. That's just my opinion. If you disagree, please let me know if you think Ricky should get 25 years in jail because you're angry about Lucy Connelly, or Tony Romo definitely deserves to basically get persecuted by the state for his entire life because he didn't like the idea of strange foreign men bouncing on his kids' shit boxes. Then please let me know in the comments, all right? I hope you enjoyed that. I'll see you all tomorrow. Toodle pip. Cheers.